Maybe I can go ahead on that line of question. When it comes to the UK decision, has the US had discussions with the UK before they came to this decision? And what was the US standpoint on that?
We did. They notified us of the decision, and that was basically the extent of the conversation.
How does the US feel about it? Is it? You said it's.
The United Kingdom's a sovereign country. It's a decision for them to make ultimately.
I mean, obviously, in Israel, they've criticized this. I mean, how do you see this as part of the international pressure in some sort? A message to the Israelis?
I don't. I take the foreign minister, someone with whom the secretary has a long relationship, has worked with very closely, at his word. He said this was a legal decision. They had a legal framework that they needed to apply. They applied that legal framework, and it led them to this decision. And it's of course appropriate for them to make their own legal judgments based on their system and their laws.
But again, I mean, does this indicate that there could be? You say it's their own independent decision, but could they be onto something? I mean, is this something that could inform potentially how the U.S. would think in the future?
No, I think you have to remember that these are different countries with different laws, different systems, and
but the same situation.
Same situation, but you apply the facts based on your own legal systems. They came to this conclusion. We have reviews that are ongoing, and I don't want to prejudge what those reviews will conclude, but we are looking at a number of possible violations of international humanitarian law, and we'll make our own assessments based on our own review of the facts and our own judgments on our law as well as international humanitarian law.
Let me just go back to one other thing that you mentioned. You said a couple of times flexibility is necessary in reaching this. Prime Minister Netanyahu, his remarks, I mean, beyond just the issue of the Philadelphia corridor, but he repeatedly said we're not going to, it's not the time for concessions after what happened, after what Hamas did. I mean, do you think there's flexibility, that there's a willingness to flexibility on both sides? I mean, how did you interpret the Prime Minister's remarks?
I don't want to get into negotiating in public. We are not calling for Israel in any way, and we have never, throughout these negotiations, called on Israel in any way to compromise its security. We stand by Israel's security. We stand by Israel's right to defend itself. Our commitment to that security is sacrosanct. And we also believe that one of the important steps Israel can take to protect its national security is securing the release of its own citizens, and of course securing the release of American citizens and securing the release of citizens of other countries. And so we're going to continue to push them to get to yes in this agreement, as we know Egypt and Qatar are pushing Hamas to get to yes.
Just a final point, but you say not, of course, the U.S. doesn't believe it's compromising Israel's security, but could there be an issue that they might need to compromise sometimes in the logistics of this, whether it's the Philadelphia corridor and other things?
Look, anytime when you're in this kind of negotiation, both sides are going to have to make compromises, right? Israel has already made a number of compromises when it comes to getting to where we are now. When you look at where we started at the beginning of these negotiations, they've compromised on a number of issues, as a party always has to do. And obviously, when you get to the final stages, some of the toughest decisions are left for the end, and they're going to have to make tough decisions on those. But we believe there's a way they can do that returns hostages home and protects Israel's security.
Can you put out a list of some